Hello everybody, Drifty here from Driftwood Gaming, and today we're going to be taking a look at RPG Maker. Now, RPG Maker has been around for a long time, and like many of you, I've been using it for over a decade, since the early 2000s, in many different various forms of it. The one we're going to be looking at right now is VX Ace. Now, the reason why we're doing VX Ace is because MV isn't out yet. It's going to be out next week, and I was originally going to do this tutorial series when MV comes out, but with the hype train in full steam, how it's been, I've been using VX Ace a whole lot, and I thought, with the new version coming out, especially with it being able to be games ported to Android and iOS, and people are going to be able to play your RPG Maker games on their phone and on with HTML5 compatibility. They'll be able to embed them into their websites. It's going to be more readily available than it's ever been. So we're going to have an influx of new people, younger people who haven't experienced the awesome things that RPG Maker can do. So with that being said, I thought, well, instead of waiting for RPG Maker MV to come out, I might as well just touch on VX Ace for the people who can't get it right off the bat. So if you're using RPG Maker VX Ace, you can download if you don't have it, you can download a light version for free from Steam, and I think various other places as well. And this is going to be like basically an overview of what the program can do. And if you're a more advanced user, or you're like me, you've been using this for a long time, you could probably skip to the next video. For those of you who are wanting to take a look at basic things that this game can do, stick around. So right off the top, we have basically file edit mode. You don't really need to use these too much because all of these things are mapped to the toolbar right underneath here. One thing that's not mapped to the toolbar is the contents, but it is mapped to the F1 key. Now, if you're just starting out and you want to find a specific thing, but you don't really want to go scouring forums, you can go here and check out. There's a lot of tutorials built into the game, so use this as an asset. I know when I was learning GML and using GameMaker Studio, I had to address the help file constantly. Like every 5 minutes, I was going to the help file. So this is a resource, not as extensive as Game Maker, but it still has a lot of general information that you might want to check out from time to time if you have a question and you don't want to, scour the forums. So let's take a look at all of the things. So right over here, you got new project, open project, save projects, your standard stuff. A lot of the buttons that you're going to be using is like, oh, the undo button. That's right there. It's going to be a very helpful thing when you accidentally, oh, what did I do? We'll undo that. So you have layers when you're building maps, and these buttons right here also, you can use them through mode and the F keys. They're like you can stack different effects on top of, or pictures rather, tiles. So we have a ground tile right here, which is this bottom layer, and this is going to show our floor tile. So we can have our floor tile right there. And then on top of that, we have an event layer. So the event layer, you can have, you can draw, let's see, well, let's go back to the tile set. So on this, you have multiple layers, and depending on your tile set, you have A, B, and C tab here, and some tile sets will have more like, D, E, and F, and they'll have different things that you can stack. So say we wanted to build like pillars or something. Well, that could be on the base layer, but on top of that, we can put stuff over that, by going to the next tab. And you see how the tree is like on top of the pillar. Now that's not a good example, but you can sort of get the idea of what I'm talking about right there. And then on top of all of these layers, you can add an additional layer, an event layer. So say I wanted to make something specific where there was a window in one of these walls. Well, I can hit right click and go to a new event and create an event, that says something, hey, this is a window. And you can see when I load the game that window layer is going to be. Now, if you look at the editor, it just shows a gray box, or a darkened spot. Now that's just to let you know that there's an event there. But when you load the game, okay. The problem was I didn't select a graphic for it. Now in RPG Maker 2003, you can actually select these uh, tile sets, and then you can right click new event, and it'll automatically pick that graphic. And sometimes they don't transfer over things that the previous version has, um, but hopefully with MV it transfers over a lot of the good things that are in XP. But anyway, moving on. After that, you have the region area. So the region area is basically for like when you're designing a dungeon or something, and you want to say, well, I have this really tough creature, but I don't want this tough monster to spawn like right as you walk into the dungeon. So you can specify, oh, I only want him to encounter the party in this certain area. So how you would do that is you would go to map properties, and then you can specify what is attacking you. And we'll get into the database before we go too heavy into this. But basically, you just specify what region you want this encounter to occur. So back into the database now. Well, before we get to the database, we're going to go through a couple more of the options that you have on the toolbar here. So when you're back into the map layer, there's different tools. You can draw stuff like with just like a pencil, or you can use like a rectangular or square type draw thing. You also have like the circle draw thing. Neat little extra things. And you have the flood field too, and that'll save some time in the long run. You also have your zoom options. If you're editing a large map or something, you can zoom out so that you can get a better bird's eye look on your map. And then you have the shadow draw tool. So you can customize, and there are some scripts that'll draw the shadows for you, but I like to just leave them default, except in some areas I'll get rid of them. So next thing, we have the database. So the database is going to contain all of your resources. Basically, you have your actors in the first tab, and your actors rely on a class. So you can specify what the actor looks like and his face animation and starting gear and special abilities that only this actor has, name, nickname, all this sort of things. Give a description. But they rely on a class. So we'll move to the classes. When you first look at your database, you're going to see about, I think it's 10, the first 10 actors, and then you'll have about 10 classes as well. And then you start off with basically they're going to give you some stuff to work with. So if you don't really know what you're doing right off the bat, you can use these pre-made assets to build an RPG and just to tell your story without going too heavy into everything. But if you want a really unique game, you're going to probably want to build all of your own assets. So it's cool to start off with, like, we're going to use Eric as a placeholder until we build a different hero. To change your hero, you can basically just select his graphic and then select his face. And they don't really have to match. I mean, logically you'd want them to look the same, but they don't have to. It's up to, I know a lot of people have made spoof games that are just kind of like, like funny versions. And a lot of people make horror games in RPG Maker. Some of the better RPG Maker games are actually horror games. So there's the options are out there. So your classes are going to have basically what kind of character, like if you played Final Fantasy 5 or any of the Final Fantasy, really it's like your job system. So they start you off with the 10, but like I said, it's probably going to be better to make your own later on. But just looking at some of the ones that are already made, like for example the soldier, you can see their stats right here, and you can adjust their parameters by just clicking on a quick setting or manually just saying this is where they're at, and this will tell you like from level 1 all the way to level 99 or whatever max level is for you. You can generate a curve if you specify what you want, like how much of the stat you want at max level, and a lot of these auto features are really good, and you have all of these different stats to adjust and play with, and saying like, okay, well, he's going to be a fighter, so he's going to have a lot of HP and attack and maybe a good amount of defense as well. Oh, but this is going to be a wizard, so it's going to have a lot of MP and magic attack and not so much physical attack. So there's a lot of room for you to adjust these things. Your XP curve is how fast they're going to level up. Now, there's several ways you can address leveling up. You can specify in the next tab, well, it's over here on enemies, how much experience that they're going to get for killing said enemy. But you can also specify right here on the experience curve. And the one that matters the least is the extra value one. This is only going to add a small amount. But the things that are going to matter the most is the base value. You can see as I bring this down to get to level 97 and 98, it's only 17,000. But as it goes up, wow, that number jumps up really crazy. And the same thing with these rates. They jump up a lot. So you can tweak this and get it set however you like to address the pacing in your game. I mean, there's a lot to cover, but we're going to just basically go through this really quickly, and then after this we're going to go and specify this video is based on for doing common events or whatnot, but we're going to continue this overview. So in your classes you have different parameters that you can specify, saying like, oh, well, this character can use special attacks or magic attacks, and if you can even go to your system, or no, it's the terms, and make your own custom type of thing, like, oh, this is going to be, I'm making a new one, this is going to be tools. If you played Final Fantasy 3 or 6 in Japan, Edgar's tool set, you can have a special skill type for that, and that's pretty awesome. I like that. When you go to we'll also cover a few more things here. You can say that, oh, well, this is going to be an elemental, and he attacks with fire. So you can say when he attacks, he's going to be doing fire damage. But this actually element rate is how much damage they're going to be receiving, not taking. So if you bring this up to, like, say 150, that means he's going to take 50% more damage from fire. So if he's a fire elemental, then you can probably go water. He's going to take more damage from water. But you can specify if he does fire damage by adding attack element here. So you can say he's a fire elemental, he's going to do fire damage. And you just hit OK, and then that would add fire damage to all of his attacks. You could say, oh, well, this is a Titan character, and every time he hits, there's a 50% chance that he's going to stun, everything. So the options are pretty close to endless. They have all kinds of things that you can do. Well, we're going to keep moving on because I'm already specifying too much in one area. So moving on to skills, they start you off with quite a few skills. I like the fact that they give you a lot of skills to start with. Starting to about right here, so this is where I drew the line for my custom skills that I've made. So everything up to 126 are built-in skills. And a good way to build your own skills, I'll cover this more in a later video, is to find a skill that you sort of like, but you want to tweak it a little bit, and you want to make your own version of it. Like, oh, I like the vampire. Well, you can copy this skill, go down to the bottom, and if it's maxed out, you can change your maximum by adding more. One thing to note, if you reduce this down too far, it will erase everything that's in those slots because you're clearing the memory. So only increase the maximum, don't decrease it unless you want to quickly wipe everything. Well, then you can paste whatever skill you want. You can change the graphic for it, and then you could change the name of it, the description. Say we want this to be a tools, so this is going to be a vampire tool, and we're going to have it look like this gun, and it's going to HP drain, and we're going to say no, we don't want it to be absorb, we're going to make it a dark attack. And then you can quickly specify, oh, we want this to be a magic attack, so we'll say we're going to give it a base value of 50, and these numbers you'll be tweaking a lot as well to specify how strong it is when you go to final balancing. And if you want it to be a piercing shot, or say this is a hollow point shot, you can ignore defense or not. Variance is the amount that it will randomly go up or down. So say it's going to attack for a set amount of 100. With the variance of 20, it's going to change that to 20% more or less. So with a variance of 20 and set to a solid set of 100 damage, it can do 80 to 120 damage. Now the variance can only go down from 0 all the way up to 100 because it's based on a percentage. Critical, you could say yes or no. Basically, RPG Maker VX uses 3x as a critical. So if it was 100 with no variance, then a critical would do 300 damage. Of special effects, you can say, okay, well, when we use this skill, we're going to add a debuff. It's going to take some of their magic attack. So we're dropping their magic attack for 5 turns, or whatever you would like to do. The occasion that you can use this in, oh well, we can use it only in battle because it's a weapon skill, or you can say, you know what, we're gonna have something crazy, and we're gonna have or if you're using a system that doesn't have a built-in battle system where you're sort of like on the map battle system, then you can set that to always. The scope is what it's targeting. You can say, I want it to hit all the enemies, or I just want it to hit one enemy. Description, these are all pretty much self-explanatory. This is going to be what the type of magic or skill it's in. Going down to invocation, the speed is going to determine how fast it goes in the like. Obviously, if it's a big heavy spell that hits everything, you want it to have a lower speed, so you maybe set it to -10, so that everybody who has like a quicker spell that just targets one thing is going to go before that in the turn of events or the sequence of events. Success rate, pretty much self-explanatory. How likely is this attack to succeed when it's used? Repeats, you can have say like a scatter shot or like some special attack that pummel or something, and it repeats 3 or 4 or 5 times. You can have a magic skill that gives you TP. Hit type, is it a magic attack, is it a physical attack, or is it a certain hit? You can have it to be like, this attack can't miss, so we'll have a certain hit. The animation basically decides what it's going to look like when you use that skill, and then these are quick buttons to say, oh, he casts vampire, he does vampire, uses vampire, but you could put in your own. Unleashed vampire, whatever you want that to say. So we're just going to clear that because I'm not going to use that skill. Moving on to items, they only start you with 16 items, but they're pretty much items that you would use as placeholders until you're going to definitely want to make your own items. I've made a really crap ton of items already. I like to make like crafting materials so that when you kill an enemy, it doesn't just drop the gear you need. It drops as a piece. It drops a material that you can use to craft the item. I'll go into crafting and custom system events and or common events later on. Moving on to weapons, they start you with a lot of weapons. Weapons have different types, and you can make your own weapon types as well. So you have armor types right here. Just change the maximum by 1, and then create your own armor type, or weapon types, and even your own elements. Like we can have like, let's say this is a freaky damage. If you want to have something, you know, like this does 100 damage, freaky damage. You can have whatever you want. I'm not going to be using that element though. This is a really cool, we'll get to the terms in a second. Weapons, they have parameter changes, so when you equip a weapon, it'll adjust these stats, like attack, defense, magic attack, all of these right here. If you want the weapon to have plus 10 attack, you would just go to the attack and say, there it is, 10. Animation, once again, it just decides what it looks like when you use it, the price of the items right here, and then the weapon type you select right there. Moving on to armor, same thing applies here, except you have an equip type. So with equip types, you're going to have to specify if it's a shield, head, body, or accessory. I'm using a script that I've edited to have 15 different types of armor that you could be wearing at the same time. So I have a special note tag in here. We're going to cover common events and scripting later. But basically, you can design your own armors and stuff. Everything after they start you with 60 different things. So I mean, you have lots of stuff to play with. Enemies. So here's where you're going to want to, like, basically come up with like an equation or something. And the equation I've used for they start you with 30 enemies. I've made these other ones. The equation that I've used is I've added up all of their stats, and then I've divided their HP by 10 and added that to the other stats, and then I've divided that number by 8, and that number is going to tell me how much experience and gold it gets. And that way I can sort of put the numbers in as I want, and I don't have to like wonder, is this going to be enough experience? Is this too hard? It helps me with balancing. So the equation that I'm using is all stats added up plus HP divided by 10, and that number divided by 8, and then the number I get right there, I sort of round that up or down a point or two, and then that'll tell me how much experience or gold that I should get. Now you can change this equation or algorithm however you want, and I'll probably end up changing it myself. This is just so that if I make a new character or a new enemy and I give him like a lot of HP, I don't want him to be like not worth fighting because he takes too long to kill and he doesn't give enough experience. So if I follow this equation or algorithm, then everything's going to be about the same amount of experience per time that you spend killing it, approximately. You know, obviously if something has like way more defense, it's going to take longer to kill. But moving on to action patterns, you have different skills. So going back to the skills tab, they start you with a bunch. So what this is doing is telling the monster that he can use these abilities. So we're going to say that the behemoth can use flare. When can he use flare? Well, he can only use flare after the 5th turn and before the 10th turn, or when his HP is between 50% and 1% left, or 1% and 50%, however you want to do that, or when he has 100 MP left, or you know, whatever. When he dies, you can say as he dies he uses this as like a final attack move, or if the party level is a certain level, so you can make this so that if your party's so far ahead, you could still be challenging because when you get to a certain level, your enemies have different attacks. Or when you hit a switch on, like say you've toggled an orb that gives you power but gives your enemies power, then that'll hit a switch and then that'll give all the enemies a new ability or something. Really, it's up to your imagination. Now the rating tells you how often that. Another little tip: if you leave your the rating tells you how often. Sorry to go back and forth. The rating tells you how often that they're going to be using a skill. The higher the number, the more likely it's going to be used. But if you hover your mouse over all kinds of different areas, you get little tool tips. And basically, what this is giving you, it's a nice one that I used to learn. It says the action rating points will be points actions 1 rating points away will be used 2/3 of the time, and those 2 points away will be used 1/3 of the time. So if you have a skill that's got 5 rating, and then you've got a skill that's got 1 rating, the 1 rating will almost never be used. So I've got him attacking 5, and then that'll be, so he's going to be attacking 2/3 of the time, and then 1/6 of the time he'll double attack, 1/6 of the time he'll stun smash, which is a custom skill I've made. So once you create your enemies, one more thing, you can add features to them, like saying like, oh, this creature has thunder attack, and when he attacks with thunder, or he's faster, so he gets +10 attack speed, or he attacks 3 times every time he attacks. He gets 3 turns. So you can really add different parameters, or he gets special skills, or he, you know, like I said, it's up to your imagination. Or he's immune to poison, whatever you want. So you can add features in there. Moving on, once you've added your enemies into your thing here, you go to troops, because you can't fight them directly like that. You have to add them as a troop. So you'll go here, and then all of your enemies that you've added will be here, and then you want to double click or click add, and then that'll add that enemy into the battle menu. So then you can auto name, or you can call it whatever you want. And now when you go into the map properties, you can specify on the encounters, it'll look for the troops. So you can find the troops that you want, that you just added, and then you can specify where they get attacked by a specific region, going back to this tile up there, or you can go to the whole map, and then you select the weight. So the weight works as the higher number will be more frequent. Now it's really clear when you look at the tooltips, well, how does the weight work? And after doing some experimentation, I figured it out. The higher the weight, the more likely you're to get that encounter. So if you want it to be like a rare spawn, you want it to be, it doesn't specifically matter what number it is. It only matters in relation to the other, the weight of the other creatures. So if you have something with weight 7, then something with weight 3 isn't going to spawn very often. But if you have something with weight 15, then something with weight 7 isn't going to spawn very often. So it's all relative. So as a general thing, I start with weight 10, and then I'll go down or up depending on how often I want that encounter to happen. The steps average, this is going to tell you how often you're going to get into a random battle. By default, when you include a troop, I think it sets to 30. It's about right. 35 is sort of where I like it, 30, 35. In a dungeon, maybe like 28, 27. I know it can get really grindy if you start going under 25, like 20 steps. Unless it's a really small map, the dungeon's going to feel really grindy if you have it under like 25. So 30 is a good number for steps average. But, it's up to your game. How do you want it to play? You can set it to 1 in every step you get into an encounter. So it's up to you. Going back to the database, states. So states are like when you're poisoned, that's a state. When you're stunned, when you're asleep, when you die, that's a state. So you can specify your own states, give them a graphic, luck up. Okay, and then you could go to here and edit the parameters. So when you have luck up, you're going to have special parameters that say, like I said, you can highlight your mouse over. It gives you all of the information right there, pointing at my screen like you guys can see that. Luck up, we're going to say that when you have luck up, you have a higher chance to hit. Now I have a script in the game that adjusts luck, so that luck isn't useless anymore. How it was, luck actually affects the hit rate and your dodge rate and all kinds of different things like critical hit rate. So luck matters a lot, and when you're using certain scripts to adjust the game, it's one of Yanfly's scripts. Once again, I'm going off track. I'm going to go into common events and scripting later on, but you can make your own state. Let's go over what the state does. So priority is what states take precedence over the other states. So priority 100 means this state is going to cancel out or go above all other states. So when you die, it doesn't matter what other states you had on you because death has 100 priority. When you're poisoned, it's got 65, but like say blind has 70, silence is 75. Now you can adjust these rates however you want to say what's more powerful or what should take precedence over another state. How should you act if you have 2 states on you? If you're paralyzed and you're asleep, well, it's gonna check for paralysis before it checks for your sleep. But they can both be. You can have multiple states at the same time. Same thing with like HP regen and MP regen. Like you can be asleep and have MP regen on at the same time. So multiple states will apply. Going down, the restriction is can this state hit an enemy? Can this state hit an ally? Can you move when this state is active? What's the priority of this state? Does this state persist through battle? When you do you want to set remove by restriction so that like at the end of the turn, like every 4 turns, when you get hit, does the state wear off? When you walk 50 steps, does the state wear off? And then you can actually add custom text to say the target name. So Ryo is now regenning MP, or however you would like to do that. So there's a lot of different things. And then to specify what the state actually does, you go to the features and you edit the parameters. So in this one, it's saying maximum MP times 100%. So it's going to be that doesn't do anything actually when you multiply a stat by 100%, because that's just saying 1 equals 1. So that does nothing. But what this is doing in this one right here is saying MP regen rate, that's MRG, plus 5%. So every turn or every so many steps, you're going to regen 5% of your maximum magic points. So that's what the MP regen is doing. And there's a ton of states that come built in, and then you can add your own states as well. Moving on, because this video is getting kind of long. Animations, I'm going to make a specific video for animations. I love playing with animations, my own special animations, but they do include a whole lot of different animations. Quick little tip, when you're making animations and you want to make your own but you don't know where to start, good thing to do is to pick an animation that you sort of like but you kind of want to change it a little bit. So I like that hit physical. So here's the thing you can do. You can copy that, change your maximum so you have room to add another one, paste it here, and then you can edit this really quickly. I'll show you. Sound effects and flash timing. Right here, this tells you what frame you want the sound effect to play and what flash. And then you click on these 3 little buttons to adjust the sound effect. And you can see, you can listen and hear what sound effects are going to be played. Now you can adjust the pitch of this, high or low, to about 50% changing, and you can adjust the volume so you can select a different sound. And then you can say, oh, I want it to flash the target. What color do you want it to flash the target? How strong? How many frames do you want the flash to last? And then you can select the graphic and say, well, I like this graphic, but I want to change the color of it. Well, it has a hue meter, really awesome feature. So okay, I like the orange, but I want it to be like a blue attack. So now it's a blue slash. You see that? And say we want to add another thing. We like the slash, but there needs to be more stuff going on. So we're going to select another one. So we can select that, and now if we scroll across here, we have more things going on. So say we wanted to change this to have like a sonar type effect. We just go to the next tile. We go to the next tile. We can add things. Simple as that. Now this is a very crude. I usually spend a lot of time on my animations, but this is just so that the video doesn't go on too long. You can right click them and adjust the properties, adjust the zoom of it. You can add new frames to the graphic. You can delete stuff by right clicking and deleting or pressing the delete key. You can change the opacity so that it looks more invisible-ish, and then you have a completely different attack. We can change all kinds of stuff. We can add a new sound effect on the next frame. We're gonna have it do like we'll say that one right there, but we want it to be this pitch. Alright, and that's going to be on frame 7 or 6, and then we'll have it flash the screen. So we so we just made a custom animation, and we can call that one Custo 1 or whatever you want to call it. So that's how you make custom animations. I'm gonna go into another video. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Tile sets. This is going to be what you're using when you look at your ABC thing over here. And the X means you can't walk through it. The circle means that you can walk through it, and then the triangle, I believe it is, or maybe in this one it's the filled circle, means that you walk behind it. Yeah, and in another version it's the triangle. But anyway, you can name it. You can select if it's an area or a field, or if it's VX compatible, and then you can specify what graphics you wanted to use for each tab. So this is A1, A2, A3, A4, and you've got B, C, D, E. Now that'll specify when you go to your editor what your what your palette is, what you choose to draw with. So this is where you're going to spend a lot of time. If you import new tile sets, you're going to have to go through each one of the tile sets and specify, okay, this is a hole, we can't walk over that. Oh, this is a wall, we can't walk through that. So you have to go through and hit every one of those. And you can specify special things like, oh, you can pass through it only one direction, or this has a flag, when you walk over it you get poisoned. Really a lot of different things to go into this. And then if you add certain scripts, you can add note tags to your tile sets as well. Common events, these are certain things that they don't really have a tangible spot, but you can use an item or a menu or an event to call them. So as an example, I'll show you an item that I made that calls a common event. So this is a common event called check skill, and all it's doing is showing you 6 variables. And I made an item called check skill, and I'm going to basically put it on the party menu, but for now I'll just I'll go to the event layer, right click somewhere. Another thing that I didn't cover yet, to make new events and stuff, you could right click and add a new event, or there's also a bunch of quick options if you don't really want to program anything, or it's not really programming because you're just clicking, but it's still design. If you don't want to design your own, you can make your own quick chest. All right, and we're going to say it's going to look like that, and it's going to give an item. Scroll down, select what item you want. I made the item, should be somewhere in here. We're looking for check skill. There it is. Okay. And then we're going to set the party starting position. Now you can set the boat party starting position. You can set the ship, the airship, whatever you want. I'm going to end up deleting those in a second, but I'll just show you. Party started. Now after you make any changes before you play it, you're going to have to save your project. So you can save it, hit play, new game, and we should start where we're at. Okay, so now we found the check skill. Sorry if the volume is really loud on this. Then we're going to go to the check skill. We're going to hit that. Your current skills are followed. So basically what this is doing is calling a common event. So when we'll go to the items. This item is check skill, wherever it's at. Somewhere. Here it is, check skill. So right here, if you want to make an item that calls a common event, you go to the effects, you right click, you edit, and you go to other. All the way at the bottom, you call your common event right there. So this one is calling the check skill common event. So whenever you use this item, it's calling this common event. So you use this item, this is going to happen. So you can specify what happens when you use specific items, and it gives you a lot of functionality options in the game. Okay, this video is going on way too long, but I want to go over one more thing or two more things. This is the resource manager. If you want to add more graphics or something, you can import. So you just select you find where you saved it to, you double click it, you hit open, and it'll import it right there. So you can also export things. You can export this to another file by saving that there, and then you can load that into another game if you want. And you can also preview it from here. Now make sure that you import to the right folder. Like if you have a character, you don't want to import it to like the battle backgrounds or something, because then it won't really show correctly. So you just find if it's a sound effect, you want to go to the audio sound effect, import there. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I went over it anyway. Now scripting, this is going to be a completely different it's going to be a long video of its own. So I'm using a lot of Yanfly's scripts because I think he's probably one of the better programmers out there for RPG Maker. But Fomar is really good too. Victor's got some great scripts. There's a lot of good scripters out there. Not taking anything away from them. So before I spend too much time talking about that, I'm gonna wrap it up right there. Thank you guys for watching. If you want more content like this, the next video is probably going to cover database maintenance and item creation and custom events, maybe some animations and stuff. Thumbs up, like, favorite, share, all that good stuff. If you want more content like this, hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next time.